talking from a single perspective, I think you can have intimacy without the sex.
Yeah, you can.
In fact, you can have a very fulfilling relationship without the sex and have an intimate connection. And I think even when you're dating, hi guys, karibuni sana. Welcome back to this channel that you formerly knew as the Parenting Millennial. But we decided to change things up to bring in new ideas. So from now on, this will be boutifulmuse.
Yay.
Right? Yeah. Before this, Sharon was doing this by herself, and she was pretty much covering things that were
marriage-based parenting,
and things that involved her.
Yeah.
But since now we're bringing in more,
we decided to just change the name, change things up, so that we can have a better, bigger, brighter feel to it.
Yes.
And change is good.
Change is good.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to be here.
I'm happy you're here.
Yeah.
You bring the pizzazz to the bountiful muse, and we're really happy to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for tuning in once again. Last month we had a month off. We were talking about courtship and dating. And thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for watching and liking the videos. We really loved your feedback.
And the feedback too.
Yes.
So thank you so much for the feedback and watching our last 4 videos. And we are also looking to continue this journey with you. We are passionate about giving you content that is timely. Let me say that, because we want to talk about matters that are affecting us as women and young people, not just women, but
Christian women.
Yeah, Christian women. And so yeah, subscribe, share, what
like
else should
the
they
videos,
do? Like,
comment.
Yeah. Yep.
And also give us topics, things you'd like us to talk about. Things you feel are affecting us in our generation and the future generations that you need us to cover.
Stuff like that.
So today is a steamy one.
Today we're starting a new series actually, and this series is about sex and intimacy, and we're going to look at it from 2 points: the married person and the single person. Right? So I think first we can start with defining
what is sex and intimacy.
Because those two are not one thing.
No, they're not. That's true. I feel like, let me start from intimacy. Intimacy is something that develops over time. It's not something that comes it's not like a one-off. It's something that develops over time. So you find that it starts out as sex, knowing each other, especially in marriage. Let me talk from a married perspective. It starts out from the intimacy develops, of course, from the sexual aspect of the whole relationship, but then intimacy comes as you get to know and understand the other person. And it's not just about sex. It revolves around so many things. It's the way you communicate, the way you behave around each other, the way you treat each other. So sex is just a part of intimacy. That's how I feel.
Sex, is a part, the physical bit of intimacy, because intimacy comes from emotion and physical aspects of it. What about sex?
Sex is bumping uglies, right?
I don't think it's bumping ugly.
Getting your jingle.
I think sex is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And I keep saying this, that God loves sex. He created sex. So sex is a beautiful expression that should happen in marriage. It's a beautiful expression that happens in marriage. So as we said last time, fire burns best when it's burning at the fireplace. Anywhere else, you're just skirmishes and such things. So sex, and it's not just the act. It's not coitus only. Sex has more to do with a lot of your mind, who you are as a person, how you carry yourself, because I think all that is sex.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It actually is, and your preferences.
Yeah.
So those are things.
When you say
again,
preferences, what do you mean?
We have some people who are very freaky, honestly.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you mean fetishes and stuff like that?
Yes.
Or things that turn you on?
Yes.
Okay.
They're there. And these are things I think, especially in marriage, you should discuss, because you might find that someone is not getting their sexual fulfillment because they feel like there's some things they cannot share with their spouse.
You know, you talked of fetishes, and I was working with a friend yesterday, and she was telling me that she read somewhere that men are attracted to the most weird things, and they're talking about like the back of the knee.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
It is.
Yeah. Apparently, there's a way that the fold at the back of a knee. Okay, can we not even get into that discussion?
I think if women knew the kind of things that men look at, we would not even dare all these other things
I think all these other things are additions.
And it's also a marketing thing.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Socialization has made us believe there's a certain way it should look like.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So let's go into. We start with marriage.
Yes.
Sex in marriage.
Sex in marriage.
Let's first actually cover intimacy in marriage, because I think that should come first.
Yeah.
And then sex comes much later, because marriage doesn't begin when you get married.
No,
it
it
actually
doesn't.
begins at courtship.
Yeah, it does.
And this is a point you should be building the intimate.
Yes. So it does build from when you begin to, because of course, let's say if you're planning to get married to someone, one of the reasons why you get attracted to them is because you have a sexual attraction to them. So that builds on the on the intimacy, and that's why and that's why you find if people, let's say, have sex before marriage, because you're attracted to that person just by looking at them, you don't know them, right? So let's say it's a sexual attraction. It's lust, actually. The moment you have sex, that lust begins to dwindle. In most cases, you know.
Does.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
If it was lust,
I'm not married, so I don't know.
yes, I'm saying, if it was lust, it will not. Forgive the pun. It will not last if it was lust. You get?
Yeah. I'm not forgiving it. I like it.
It will not last if it was lust. So that's why you're asked to. That's why God created sex to fit into marriage, you know, because it is meant to bring two people together. It is a form of, it's like a glue, so to speak, you know. So yeah, that way you build your friendship, you build all these things, and then the sex just comes. It's like the cherry on top of the cake.
The garnish.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So build your friendship, build your, get to know the other person, get to understand them, and then now the sex is the icing on the cake.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So that way, when I'm for example telling my husband, I like this, if you do this better, they won't feel annoyed. You know, they'll understand the reason why I'm telling you I like it if you touch me this way is because
this is a pleasure.
Exactly. I want to, I want to enjoy it to the maximum. When you're having sex outside of marriage, you really don't get to, you know, it's my needs and my needs only. I'm here to get me taken care of.
It's a release.
Yes, it's a release. It's actually a release, and you know, move on. Yeah. Even if it's consistent with one person, it really limits you.
It does.
Yeah, because you're not sure how long you're going to be dating this person that you're sleeping with, you know. So you have this thing, you don't want to open up too much. Yeah.
So I find like people really give themselves completely, and that's when people part ways, the heartbreak issue comes in.
Exactly.
You're dumped, and it hurts.
And that's the downfall with our society at the moment, is that we've taken this beautiful thing that God intended to be sacred and just, you know, tarnished it. Yeah. You know, everyone is doing it left, right, and center. It's not making any sense anymore. It's supposed to bring you two people together, you know?
I feel though, like sex and intimacy work very well in marriage, and I think they should go together,
yes.
Right? Talking from a single perspective, I think you can have intimacy without the sex.
Yeah, you can.
In fact, you can have a very fulfilling relationship without the sex and have an intimate connection. And I think even when you're dating someone, the one person, I know last time we talked about dating, hanging out, doing all those things. If you're intentional about the one person, is when you build intimacy.
Yes.
And building intimacy is not hanging out in the house watching Netflix and chill per se. Is having very intentional conversations about who you are, and it requires you to really open up.
Yeah, it does.
But then again, you can't go opening up to every person you date. You have to first assess, are we jiving? Do we have chemistry?
And that's why
are you worth my time?
Exactly.
Am I worth your time? Such things. So when you get that person and you think, hey, or you think, let me not use think, because thinking is getting a lot of people into trouble.
Yes.
When you talk about it and you feel that this is the kind of guy I would want to be with, or the kind of girl I want to be with, then have the conversation and move on to the next thing. So for us to have this, to have intimacy in a relationship, and say you're single, right? There's some things that you need to be very clear about. And first I'll go to identity. Do you know yourself? Do you know your worth? Once you understand that, then you will not be looking for someone to define it for you. You know who you are. And the other day I was listening to something, and they talked about the 5 daughters of the guy in, I think, Numbers, when the plague came and killed like 20,000 people. So these 5 daughters went to Moses and went like, listen, our dad died. He wasn't in the Korah rebellion, and we
need land.
Not just need. Our father had land, and it's ours.
Yes.
But all the laws you've given do not give any room for women to inherit. Like they went and they didn't go up to beg.
They knew their rights.
They knew their rights. And they knew that it was theirs because it was their dad's. It was our father's. That's the identity of who the 5 girls were. And I find that to be so empowering. Like once you know who you are, then you know what you deserve or what you should get.
Exactly.
You know your value. So by the time you're going to see people, you'll get to know like, hey, you're good, but I don't feel like this is the space I should be operating.
So you move on quickly.
You move on. You don't waste your time, and also you don't drag along people and skeletons and things like those.
I agree with you completely.
Also, even not only in dating, but even when you go buy something or you want to go, let me give an example of a car, right? Yes. You know how much money you have in your pocket.
So you don't go looking for the Range Rover if you can afford the Nissan Note. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you
completely.
completely.
There's nothing wrong with the Nissan Note.
And then there also has to be an aspect of dying to self.
There has to be.
Yes, especially when you're dating. It's not possible for you to have a godly relationship when dating if your flesh is ruling you.
Yeah.
So you have to have completely died to your flesh. And the only way to do this is to spend time in the Word of God, to let Him guide you, to help Him
take captive your thoughts.
Yes. Actually, 2 Corinthians 10, 3-5. Anything that holds itself up above the knowledge of Christ, any imagination, any pretension,
any word, any action.
Exactly. All those things should be brought down. And that is the only way. Because let's go back to being married. It's not that you don't get opportunities to cheat.
Yeah.
They're there. Many.
I would think so.
You get hit on a lot, honestly. And to be honest with you,
being married doesn't mean you stop being attractive.
Yeah, actually, but that's true. It doesn't mean you stop being attractive
or attracted to other people.
It doesn't. It's all in your mind. Because you'll find you're moving jobs, for example. You're meeting new people. Yeah. You're socializing with different people.
Or you went to buy milk in the supermarket.
Yes, and someone stops you and they're like, and
can I have your number?
Yeah, and then you're in that position. So you don't have to be rude at that point in time, but at the same time you have to know you're married.
Yes.
You already made your choice, and now you have to live by that choice. You know?
Do.
Yeah.
So but there's also this other aspect of not every other girl is a virgin. In fact, I think virgins have become like unicorns.
Very rare. It's true though. It's true.
It's true. To find, especially at our age, to find virgins is...
So that means people have fallen. Yes, you've had sex before, and maybe you're thinking,
we've tasted the forbidden fruit. Let's call it that.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong, you know. To be honest, everyone, all have fallen short.
Yes.
How does that verse go?
I have no idea.
For all have fallen short of the glory of God.
Yes.
I think it goes something like that. We're all sinners, right? Just because you maybe a virgin does not mean that you're also not a sinner, by the way. We're all kind of leveled in this.
There's no great or small sin in
they're
the
all
eyes
the
of
same.
God.
So if you have had sex before, or you're having sex at the moment with one person or a couple of different people, and you feel convicted again, you feel convicted. We're only here to share information. The conviction will have to come from a higher power, which is God. The much we can do is just share the knowledge that we have.
That's true.
So if you're convicted and you want to start leading
a pure life,
that's the word, pure, because the Bible actually says sexual sins happens in you, right? So
you're sinning against your body.
So if you want to stop sinning against your body now, it is possible. And that's why Sharon is saying we need to focus and dive and swim and deep end issues, like just be in God's word and God's presence.
I've come to realize it is a form of mental gym. It is it's a muscle you have to cultivate.
So the more the temptations happen, that's the trials. Those are the things that if you strengthen you. So we're not saying that the minute you stop and the minute you come to God and come to Christ and get born again, your life will be smooth. Like I'm telling you, temptations. Even that guy that you liked, who has not talked to you for a while,
will start talking to you.
For some reason, he'll start calling you again.
That is so true. But then now you have to remember and be very aware that these are temptations. And every single time you find yourself in such a situation, just run to the word of God. That's why it's important to learn scripture.
Yes, because it says temptations will come, but he will always give you a way out. So it's a constant choice you have to make. We are putting our bodies under our authority now, like the flesh. And I know I was in this group the other day, and they were talking about like cheza kiwewe, cheza kama wewe, right? And which pretty much meant do what your body wants. You know, when you're told to live authentically, like yourself, and just living without regrets, YOLO, you know, you don't live once, you actually live twice. And the first death will determine how you live your next. Don't be cheated. The things that you do right now have consequences. And I'll also challenge single people who are like, oh yes, we are liberal, we have sex, we can have sex with anyone. It's, what do you call this, feminine action, you know, to just make your own choices. Cool. So as much as there's this whole women empowerment and liberal and new thinking ways and think about self, higher self, I think, I don't think, and I think we even said it in the last videos, there's nothing empowering about having sex before marriage. There's nothing empowering about having multiple sex partners.
It's actually a form of bondage.
It is. It is. And here's the thing, if you ask men, they say it's a release, right? Miles Monroe actually put it and said, men have a seed, so if you have a seed, you need to plant it. But see, they're not even planting it. So you're there receiving, because the woman is meant to receive. But what are you receiving? You're receiving nothing when you think about it. Because this guy, you could be hanging out, you think this guy likes me, he's having sex with me, and comes up to identity. You're using him to validate who you are. So know your worth. Let's start from there. Know your worth. Then that way, the minute you know who you are and your identity, it's easy to start having intimate relations with people, the people you choose to have in your life. So, Racy, you are asking something about the
non-sexual forms of intimacy.
Okay. The meaning.
They're that depends on an individual. The things you like doing that, you know, make you. So in the same way, your partner or the person you're dating at that point in time also has those same things. So this is when you do your bucket lists. Like your dating bucket list. Have a bucket list of the things you'd like to do with each other.
Yeah.
You know, that make you happy. So have your list, he'll have his list, and then you can just check off one at a time. Then in the midst of doing that, you guys will come up with something that both of you like.
Yeah, things that and they don't have to be activities per se, because it can be as easy as swapping books. You guys both like reading books, and you do it. You like taking walks, you want to travel, see the world together. Those are activities. But remember, you can swap books with people who don't have intimate relationships with. You can sit down and watch a movie and just basically do that.
So the deliberate and intentional part.
Yes, you have to be intentional about what you're doing. And it's not only about what you like or what I like. You might have your likes, and I have mine, and I want to introduce you to my kind of thing, you know. So you have to be open to see each other from different angles. And not only that, there are also levels of intimacy. Intimacy is just not about doing things together. It's also about how you open up to each other in terms of, are you ready to talk about your expectations in life, not necessarily in marriage, not necessarily in the dating or him. Are you ready to talk about your secrets, you know? And they don't have to be all this, because there's a part of you that we do not know. Are you ready to let this person into the kind of plans that you have in your life? Those are the kind of conversations that both of you should have when you're getting to know each other. I'm not saying you start planning a future, but it's just letting this person know that this is the kind of roadmap I have, and what's your roadmap. And even that would even help you to know, are we moving to the same direction, or are we just doing this for a moment and then one day we'll have to part ways? You see, that intimacy is what makes you or helps you make those decisions. When it comes to marriage, it's different.
When it comes to marriage, now you guys are already married, so okay, what I normally say is, now that I'm married, there's no reason it's going to work. It has to work. There's no option whereby I'm saying I'm like leaving the marriage. So it's up to you to make it work, and that brings a bit more intentionality into it. But then there's the case whereby if you guys have courted and dated the right way, then it will be very easy to, you know, build on the intimacy. Now what happens during marriage is when the kids come and when more responsibilities come, so you have to be more intentional in making sure that you're spending time with each other, you're checking up on each other, creating time for each other, basically. Yes, both in terms of spending time and in terms of the sex part.
You know what I had, and I thought it was so beautiful, that marriage is about partnership.
It is.
And relationships are about companionship. So in marriage, you should have these four things. You should have a marriage, because marriage gives you the partnerships. And you'll find people think that my wife is my friend, and our marriage works, but we do not have a relationship. And you can find people say that we have a relationship, genuine care about each other, but our marriage is not working. So I think you should be able to see the two sides of it, where marriage is about partnering to work together, because you're working towards something, raising kids. Is our marriage working? Are we communicating? Is the house in order? You know, the home, is it working?
And knowing your place.
Because there are roles for there's the husband role, there's a wife role, and there's a children's role, right?
It's actually like a company with a CEO, vice president, and then the board. So you and your husband are the president and the vice, and then your children are the board members. So you have to look at it that way. And when I say know your place from a perspective of a woman, I mean your husband is the head of the home, and because we are talking in Christian terms, he has a higher authority. So for example, if I want to tell on my husband, the first person I'll tell on my husband to is God, you know, and God will put him in his place. Yes. That's how it goes.
Do you remember that hanging that we all had at home that says Jesus is the head of this house?
Yes, I remember. We actually had
the
one.
Head.
So know your place. And there's a beauty that comes with knowing your place as a woman, because you're not competing with this man, and that also creates a better sense of intimacy, because he can trust you. He knows that there's no way you can try and one up him. So he's comfortable and he's confident in you as his wife.
Yes.
So that way it makes him love you more, because he knows he can count on you.
You can actually bring in the part of submission and love.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
It works like that, because if I submit to him, he will love me more. Submission does not mean that you have to. It's actually a very big part of intimacy.
It is.
My husband always tells me the quieter and graceful spirit in you makes you more lovely and more sexy.
Very true.
Yes, which is so true.
I think there's a lot of power in being a woman.
There is. And a graceful one
and
at
graceful.
that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a way you can handle even the issues that come up in marriage as a woman, and you end up, your husband ends up loving you more just because you're not being pig-headed. So intimacy is not just about the sex and all that. It also comes from within.
I'm laughing because I've had this nini like hatutakuwa wanaume wawili kwa hii nyumba.
Yeah, it said a lot. And sometimes you wonder where it's coming from. It's because of that. Like you want to bulldoze everything. What I've learned,
the word has to go, like it has to be the last, Do
you know I've had cases whereby my husband, I've seen the decision he's made is the wrong one. And for sure it is the wrong one.
Yeah.
But I'll keep quiet.
Yes. Like we need to learn from this, so that next time when you come and say we tried that, it didn't work,
I'll keep quiet and pray about it and let God show him, or let God put in me the right words to use, so that when I approach him and tell him I think we should have done this differently, it will not come out as me being like trying to take over, because I think men have that thing of they want to be respected and to feel like I am head of my home. Regardless of whatever decision I make, they should be approached that way. So intimacy does not only stem from the bedroom.
No.
It starts
way away from the bedroom.
So far away.
And if you don't have that, then the bedroom things will not work.
They will not.
It will become mechanical.
Yes.
Than a connection.
It's so true.
And if you want to know what mechanical is, anything you're doing before you're married is mechanical. Nothing.
Yeah.
But again, that can be, you can always take everything you have to God. That's a good thing about the kind of God we serve. Yeah.